Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Manasa, Assistant Professor from Institute of Aeronautical, Indian in Hyderabad. I'm going to talk about the Human Development Index and the Gender Development Index and what is the relation between two and how we will do this indexing of these either human development or gender development or what kind of other statistical analysis we do. Let us discuss today in this class. So, first of all, what is Human Development Index and what is Gender Development Index? So, as in the previous class, we have discussed about the Human Development Index. So, let us once quickly revise about these and then let us know what is each doing. So, these either HDI, Human Development Index, or the Gender Development Index, both are the indices that are developed by United Nations to measure the different aspects of human development and well-being. So, with respect to the different aspects of human development and achieving and in the using different key factors and all. So, let us first come to the Human Development Index. So, we all know that HDI is a composite index which takes into account of three key dimensions. One is health and education as well as the standard of living. So, what does the health include? It includes life expectancy at the birth, and education includes mean year of schooling and expected years of schooling. So, how many are going school and what is the age factor at which the number of people are going to the school? And also the standards of living and what is their GNI, that is gross national income per capita to a particular capital of the nation. What is their contribution towards the growth of a nation? So, by taking these three factors, we calculate Human Development Index. So, as a result, it provides a broad overview of overall development status of a country, considering factors that affect the well-being of both men and women. So, with respect to women, what is their development or progress either in terms of health, that is their the life expectancy, or in terms of education. So, how many are going to school and what is the age group of the people going to the school and what is the expected years of schooling, and also the standard of living, what is their contribution to the growth of a nation. So all these three together will give a broad overview of how the country is progressing towards the positive side. So this is Human Development Index. So it talks about what both men and women contribution to the growth or the progress of a nation with respect to three key factors, that is health, education and the standard of living. So HDI does not explicitly focus on the gender disparities and it is a more generalized in its approach. So it is not considering or talking about what are the gender disparities, what is the inequality, it doesn't talk. But with respect to the gender, that is with respect to female and male, by taking these three key factors, how overall development is done. So that is what health, nothing but the long and healthy life, and a decent standard of living, that is standard of living, and then their knowledge, the schooling years, expected year of schooling, and mean years of schooling. And this standards of living is GNI per capita, and this all in terms gives the GNI index. So by taking these three key factors, the human development index is calculated, and it is a more generalized term with respect to the progress of any country. So HDI is a Human Development Index is used to measure how development has improved a human life. So, what are the indicators of this human development? One is this HDI rank, and what is the life expectancy, and what is the mortality rate, infant mortality rate, or maternal mortality rate, or what is the literacy rate, and what is the percentage of the people who are below the poverty line, and what is the GDP per the nation. So, what is the income contribution of any computer, that is nation. And let us come to the other word which is called Gender Development Index. So, it says what HDI is saying about the Human Development Index. So, it is more generalized of all human beings, how they are contributing to the progress of a nation. But this gender development is focused on the particular gender discipline. So, in terms of each gender, what is the progress? So, it is what more concise or focused term. So, this GDI is also called as a composite index, but it specifically focuses on the gender disparities in the human development. So this takes into account the same dimensions of HDI. So the key factors that we do the analysis are the same: health, education, and standard of living. But measures them separately for men and women. So it says what is the ratio of men with these three key factors, and with respect to women. So based on these three key factors, what is each gender development separately, and what is the ratio gap? So that gives the gender disparities. So this GDI assesses the differences in the achievement between the men as well as women in these three dimensions, and which is aimed to highlight the gender inequalities in a society. So unless you know the loopholes of anything, you cannot say what are the inequalities development. For example, HDI is talking about what with respect to both genders, means that all human beings, what is the development. Then when you calculate with respect to specific gender, then only you will know where is the gap existing and what is it, and how much inequality is existing, or whether what to take action in the next way to as to reach the gender equality. The GDI can provide more gender sensitive perspective on the development, and can it help in identifying areas and the gender disparities exist. So wherever these gender disparities are existing, so this GDI gives an identification of the areas where this gender gaps are coming. So this is for helping tool as for the gender equality. So as to make gender equality, what kind of actions you have to take. So, in a summary, HDI provides what? It's a general overview of human development in a country, whereas GDI focuses on gender disparities within that development. So, what is the gap existing between the both the genders? So these both indices are valuable tools for assessing well-being of the population, and can be used together to gain a more comprehensive understanding of the development and gender-related issues in a particular region. So, in a particular region, what are the issues that are existing, and what are the problems to undergo the development? So, where it is lacking, why the all genders are not uh, developed. So this gives the idea about where are the problems, issues are generated with respect to the each gender. So Just now we discussed this GDI takes the study of the both genders, female as well as male, with respect to what? Three key factors, that is the health, knowledge, standard of living. The same way for men, health, knowledge, and standard of living. So these are the dimensions. So indicators include what? The life expectancy at the birth rate, and the knowledge is nothing but expected years of schooling and mean years of schooling. And the standard of living means what? This gross nation income per capita. What is the contribution? So, what is the dimension index that you calculate from this? Is life from life expectancy. What do you calculate? What is the index? Life expectancy index. And then from the education you get the education index, as well as from the GNI you get the GNI index. So this overall contribution of these three key factors gives a HDI, Human Development Index, with respect to females. The same way when you do for the male, the same analysis when you do for the male, then you get the HDI with respect to the male. So these two you take and you will give the final assessment as the Gender Development Index. So you select what is the development with respect to the male gender and what is the development with respect to the female gender, and where is the gap existing. And then next comes one more terminology which is called gender empowerment measure. So you are saying by GDI you get the gaps. So you know what are the gender issues happening where the development is not progressing. So where the gaps are existing. So by GDI you are getting an information. Then what to do? Then you have to take some actions so as to make the gender equality. So now comes gender empowerment measure. So you have to empower some either one of the gender so as to make both equal. So what are the measures that you have to take? What are the things that you have to take care to make give some choices, resources, and facilities so as to bring one more gender as equal to the other gender. So this GEM, gender empowerment measure, is an index that is designed to measure the gender equality. So that the GEM is a measure of inequalities between the men and women opportunities in the three major areas. So what is the options they have? Where is the inequality existing? So why this specific gender is getting higher opportunities and the other gender is not getting? So with respect to three major areas, this GEM is focused. One is the economic participation and the decision making. So what does it do? This is measured by two indicators. One is shares of women and men in a senior professional and technical positions and senior officials and managers. So what is the share are the part of the women and women in the senior professionals and in the technical positions as well as in the senior officials and the managers. So this is economic, where how the number of men and women are participating and how will they have the opportunity to make a decision. And the next one is power over the economic resources. So though they have the economic sources, then who is having the power? Either it is male or female. So this is measured by the share of women and men in the earned income. So who is having the share on the given? Like for example, you have a property, then who is the owner of that property, on whose name that is there? So who has the power over that economic resources? And then political participation as well as a decision making. So this is calculated by the number of parliamentary seats that is held by the men and women. So what is the ratio of men and women in the parliamentary? So based on economic weight as well as power over the economic resources and parliamentary or political participation based on three factors, this gender empowerment is measured. So GEM is the United Nations Development Program that is attempt to measure the extent of gender inequality across the global countries. So, what is the all countries having the means what is the level of inequality each country has across the globe? So, it is based on the estimates of women's relative economic income, participation in high paying positions, as well as access to the professional and parliamentary positions. And in 1995, this HDR, that is Human Development Report, commissioned by the United Nations Development Program, is set out to create the new measures indicators for this development of the gender. So, from where this GM has been arised. So it was introduced at the same time as the gender related development, but it measures the topics like empowerment are not covered by the GDI. So gender related development index gives what are the inequalities that are existing, but it is same as the GDI, but this gives what this talks about the opportunities with respect to the what is their participation in the three respective fields as just now we have spoken. So what empowerment can be given to the particular gender? So it is like you give some resources and what is that ratio that they have. So, since it was first adopted, the GEM has been employed in several academic studies related to the empowerment. Is a reliable metric for the comparing gender empowerment across the different countries. So, it has been incorporated into the all academic studies. And it also has faced some harsh criticism and many alternatives have been proposed. So, as a overall, what is this GM? It is a composite index which measuring gender inequality in three basic dimensions. What is that? Uh, Economic participation and decision making, political participation and decision making, and power over the economic resources. So, based on three dimensions of empowerment, this GEM is being measured. So, how they calculate? These calculations are made for each of three areas as we discussed now, and they give the resulting index. So, if that GEM is equals to 1, that means what? There is full equality between men and women. And if it is less than 1, then again means what? Inequality is increasing. So if you have, it can be either respect to the male as well as female. So there is an increase in the inequality. So this GEM is calculated as the average of these three indices. That is political participation and power over the economic resources, and it is another factor is what? Economic participation, political, economical, as well as power over the resources. Based on this average of these three gives GM. If it is 1, that means what? Both are having equal choices are the participation in the all perspective. Then the nation is called gender equality means is existing in a particular nation or highly developed country that we say. So these are the dimensions: political participation, economic participation, and power over the economic resources. What are the indicators then? female and male shares they will take. In terms of economic participation, again, in the economic participation, their shares in positions of senior officers or the managers or technical positions. Economic resources, what? Estimated earned income. So, what is the male or female estimated earned income? So, this gives what estimated the equally distributed equivalent percent, EDEP of this political participation and EDEP of economic participation and EDEP for the income. So this is together annual average of these three gives the GEM. And what is the difference between this gender development index and gender empowerment measure? So this GDI is same as HDI, but it is focused on the specific gender. And this GAM is also like GDI, but it measure the ability of women to participate in the process of improvement. So they role in the improvement, the positive manner of involvement of the women. Okay, and it is both are economic and per capita. It gives per capita income of male versus female. Here also per capita income of male and female, and this takes a percentage of age of women professionals in the technical jobs also, as well as whereas GDI gives what education. So it is based on what economic, education, and three factors health. So this is economic. It can be economic participation and power over the sources, power control. So this is what is the income of male and female, and what is the percentage of women and women in the jobs and the professional managers. So and the political participation gives what it measures the percentage of administration jobs held by the women, as well as percentage of women in the national parliamentary, so political participation. Whereas GDI gives what economic way, what is the income between the both female and female, male and female, as well as education, females in the schools versus male in the schools. So how many, what is the ratio of male to female in the school, and what is the percentage of literate female or percentage of literate males. So that is a average age as well as the number of people going to the school. And another factor is health. So life expectancy of a female, and also both with respect to male and female, these three factors. And here with respect to both female and male, what is their involvement in the economical or the political field. So gender inequality index, this is another terminology. This gender inequality index is an index of measurement of what is the disparity that is existing between both the genders, and which is introduced in the year 2010. This is added as the extra addition to the Human Development Report on 20th anniversary edition by the United Nations Development Program UNDP. So according to this UNDP, it is a composite measure to quantify the loss of achievement within a country due to the gender inequality. So this gender inequality index measures what? What is the loss of achievement? Why this achievement is not happening because of the gender inequality. So it measures that and it finds what are the reasons for that. So this gives the key factors to find what kind of gender empowerment can be done. So it uses again three dimensions to measure loss of achievement due to the gender inequality. One is reproductive health, empowerment, and labor market participation. So one is reproductive health, and second is empowerment, and three is labor market participation. So this GII doesn't include income level as a component level. So with respect to income, it is not measuring it with respect to only health, empowerment, and the participation. These three factors it is taking. So this was introduced as an experimental measure to remedy the shortcome of provisionals of previous indicators. So the GDI and GM both, which are introduced in 1995 as a HDI report. So as an extra, so where if you are doing gender development index and you are finding out what is the empowerment measure, so in between there is a gap existing, that is gender inequality index. So what gives this is given as a what is the inequality, why that improvement or the achievement of a country has not happened because of this gender inequality. And there is another term which is called the gender parity index. So this is another socio-economic index which is designed to measure the relative access of education to the male and female. So this is given by what? This is released by the UNESCO. So in a simplest form, what you can say as GPI is, it is calculated as a quotient number of females by the number of males that are enrolled to a stage of education. So primary level of education, how many people have got registered or enrolled, and how many people are going to the secondary education. So it is purely in terms of the education, how much, what is the ratio of both the genders. So it is used by the international organization, particularly in measuring what progress of any developing countries. So it plays a major role in finding out what is the development of any given country. So the Institute of Statistics of UNESCO also uses more general definitions of GPI. Like for any development indicator, one can define GPI relative to this indicator by dividing its value for females by the by males. So number of females going to the school by number of male going to the either can be primary or secondary level of education. So this simply gives the GPI. So this, for example, some UNESCO documents consider gender parity in terms of literacy. So as the gender inequality index, which gives gender parity or gender inequality index, gives what? So you know that it is based on three dimensions: health, empowerment, and labor market. So what is that? What are the indicators then in terms of health? Adolescent birth rate, and what is the maternal mortality ratio, and in terms of empowerment, what is male and female population with the least secondary education, and what is the male and female shares in terms of what, this is given by what, GM gives what is the number of people going to the, that is political participation of male and female in the, this given by the GM, and it also gives the number of people who are going for the education. And the next indicator is what, the dimension, that is the key factor is labor market. So how many number of male and female are participating in the labor work. So what is the index that we get from the health dimension is female reproductive index. So you get the, what is the ratio of females that are having the adolescent birth rates, and what is the mortality rate that is happening. And with respect to empowerment, what is the index you get is female empowerment index as well as male empowerment index. So these two separately. And with respect to the labor market, what you get is female labor market index and male labor market index. So what are all these with respect to gender? So this gender index is only happening. So this in this, what is the female gender index is related to these two, and then the female labor in the market. So all these consider female gender index. So the male gender index considers what? Male empowerment as well as male labor index. So these two. So now you calculate. You have some ratio here. You have some ratio here. This is x. This is y. So you know why x is more than y, or y is equal to x or not, or what is the difference between these two. If it is so much, this x minus y means the difference between male to female is so much more. That means what? More inequality. So what you do? This gives what? This gives GII, that is gender inequality index. So if it is high, what you have to do? Then you have to find the factors what to make, improve, or then you take the another term called GM. So that causes what are the factors that are reason for the inequality. So try find out the loopholes and go for the encouraging or enhancing the empowerment. Try for the equality ratio. So how much you have to do further. So this gives the complete information about the equality that inequality that is existing, and what you have to do make it equally gender equality made country. Okay. So now we have studied what? HDI we know, GDI we know, GM we know, and GII and GPI. So these are all the factors which are contributing for the any nation's development. So this is about all terminology that contribute for a particular nation. Okay. So thank you. Let's meet in the next class.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.